Okay, Sheikh, we are going live. I'm muting myself, sorry. You can go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Dr. Shafiqur Rahman, Head of Department, Business Administration, International Open University. So for today's presentation, I assume that we have many people in the audience. Some people may have some expert knowledge on the subject, and some people may have basic and less than basic knowledge. So I will target those who have basic or less than basic knowledge on the subject, challenges for global business. So before I go ahead with this, I will introduce myself. I already told that I am the head of department, business administration. Prior to joining International Open University, I was working for a university in Australia, Central Queensland University, and another university in Australia, that is Australian Catholic University. But in the beginning of my career, I served for International Islamic University, Chittagong, for about 10 years as a coordinator for business school. I migrated to Australia and ran my department from Sydney, Australia. And many of you know that International Open University is a truly global university, so that our students are spread all over the world. So do our faculty members. They are also spread all over the world. And as I said, that I operate my operation from Sydney, Australia. So, dear brothers and sisters, as we are going ahead with the challenges for global business, first of all, I will explain the term business. So business means an organization, they work to earn profit through their operation. And businesses are usually engaged in production or services, development of the services, or they have products, they have services. So companies make products or develop services to earn their profits. So every business organization, they focus on earning profit. However, we should make sure that businesses are operating ethically to earn their profits. And now we talk about global business. So what is a global business? Before going there, I will talk about domestic business. So whenever we run a business within our national boundary, for example, I'm in Australia. So if I operate a business within the Australian territory, I'll tell it, or I will claim it as a domestic business. Now, whenever I do business with one more country, like I export or import, I export to the United States, or I import from maybe from the United States. So when my business is between two countries, then I will call it international business, like that is beyond the boundary of the country. Now, when we have operations in multiple countries and multiple nationalities are involved in that business, we call that multinational companies. Usually multinational companies, they have one headquarters in one of the countries, and then they operate from there. Now, global business means any business that has a presence globally, practically at least 2 or 3 continents, or maybe many countries in the world. So, and spread, the branches of the countries are spread all over the world. We call them global businesses. Now, in the 21st century, global businesses are facing a lot of challenges. So today, I will talk about those challenges. There are many challenges, but today I will talk about cultural differences, language barriers, legal and regulatory differences, political instability, infrastructure challenges, and supply chain disruption. So let's start with cultural differences. Now, whenever we do global business, for example, there is a company headquarters in United States, McDonald's. Now, it has global operations. And whenever it has global operations in many countries of the world, this company has presence. So the head of marketing of McDonald's, head of human resources at McDonald's, head of finance of McDonald's, they are communicating people with different cultural background. So the cultural background of the employees in Australia may be different from the cultural background of a country or society like China. Maybe it's different in America. So societal culture and also business culture, especially I will talk about business culture. So the business culture of Japan, Australia, China, UK may be all different. So the operation of the business from the headquarters, those who are running the operation, they must understand or accommodate all the differences or diversities, cultural diversities. If we look at the four major points here, the first point we are talking about, globalization has led to increased interactions among people from different cultural backgrounds. So whenever they communicate with different people, like the managers in headquarters, they communicate people with different cultural backgrounds. And also, the second point is cultural differences play a crucial role in global business. So if we understand the mindset, like of our colleagues in different countries of the world, we will be able to win their heart. For example, if we know that some of the employees in one country, they love this kind of greetings. Even if you see that when people give business cards, in some countries, people give business card with one hand, and some countries, they use two hands. So if people feel that their cultural differences or cultural identities are respected, then people have more motivation to work. They think that they are being respected by their businesses or companies. So in return, they also try to give more service to the company. They show more commitment to the company. The third point here is understanding and managing cultural differences can help businesses succeed in global markets. So the managers, those who are operating, as I said, they must understand the cultural difference. Now, people in some countries, they are doing very well while they are working individually, and they may not work very well in a team. Maybe in another country, people are very good in working in a team, and they are not giving best output when they are working individually. So managers must understand while managing the cultural differences so that they can be successful in global operation. Some common cultural differences in global business, the number 4 point. Some common cultural differences in global business include communication style, attitude towards time, decision-making process, and societal customs. So we must keep that in mind whenever we are working with people. Communication styles, some people, maybe in some countries, they do oral communication very well. And maybe in another country, they love to communicate in writing. And also attitudes towards time. In some countries, if you tell them 9 o'clock, they understand 9 o'clock means like 9 o'clock. And in other countries, they will, if you ask them to come at 9 o'clock, they will think, okay, 9 o'clock means like around 9 o'clock. So if you come like 10, 15 minutes late, it's not considered as a crime. So decision-making process in some places, decision-making like the bosses, they consult with their staff. In some countries, some cultures, boss make the decision by himself or herself. And societal customs also impact on employees because whenever an employee from an American company that come to a developing country to run the operation, or they come in a different country and communicate with local staff or people in the society. So before they come to that particular country, there are practices in many multinational companies. They give a training to their staff so that before going to a country, they have prior knowledge. All right. So right now we discussed about cultural differences. So I talked about 4 major points. There might be some other issues involved, but because of time constraints, I'll be limiting to 4 major points here. The cultural difference. That is one. The second one is language barrier. Language barrier. Many countries in the world, they speak English. So it's easy for them when they communicate with others in English. In some countries, people speak in Arabic, and it is easy for them when they communicate with other Arabic-speaking countries. However, when people work in one country where the language is not their mother tongue, then they face some challenges because whenever you learn a new language, you may not fully capture the language. And sometimes a small difference can impact impact on employees, impact on customers. Some people consider some behavior as like offensive. So I remember that like in one organization, the boss from the headquarters was very annoyed of the staff and he was shouting on the staff. But in that country, there is no culture of shouting on the staff. So the staff got insulted, felt insulted, and decided to resign immediately. So language barrier, if you want to work in a country or if you want to do business in a country, it is always better if you know their some knowledge of language. And if you want to engage a staff to communicate country, it is always better among the staff who has the knowledge of local language. They can go on ground and hold a meeting, communicate with them. That would be wonderful. The second point is, so if you see the first point, language barrier can result in communication breakdowns and misunderstanding in global business. All right. So I used to work for an American company. I remember about like 15 years back, or maybe more than 15 years back. One of my bosses, he told me about that I have missed the boat. So I have not understood, because how could I miss a boat? Because there is no boat relationship in my job. So later he told that no, miss the boat means like you have not delivered the stuff that I was supposed to deliver. So I told my boss that, okay, because I have some challenges and I had to take some time to overcome the challenges, that's why I could not deliver the time my boss was expecting. But he said, you missed the boat. So we have to have some knowledge about the language and some phrases in that language. The next point is The next point is limited language proficiency can hinder a business's ability to access new markets and expand its reach, which is very true. Limited language proficiency, you want to go to a market, but I do not have enough expertise. Means like the company does not have enough expertise. But nowadays, if you look at many companies, what they do when they export a product, they do not only write a universal language on the labels of the product. Also, they write in local languages. For example, you are exporting something to a Middle Eastern country, and you are from, for example, from US or from UK, Canada, or Australia, where English is the main language. So, but you are sending your product to a Arabian country, so it's better to use English language as well as Arabian language in the on the level of the product. The next point is third point is understanding language and cultural differences are crucial for building relationships and partnerships in global business. Sometimes we see that like two CEOs of two big companies, they are meeting together. They're discussing, but in the beginning, they talk about themselves, like their families, their education, where they grew up. So if they do not know the language, it's very hard to communicate and understand the other person, because you cannot explain you, so your counterpart may not understand you well. So understanding language and cultural differences are crucial for building relationships and partnerships in global business. So also differences in cultural differences. So whenever you are doing business, in some businesses, maybe in some countries, there is a culture, whenever you hold meetings, you also at the same time offer tea, coffee. But if you find that you have gone to a country and then they're not offering tea, coffee, don't get shocked. Maybe that's the culture. Maybe they will offer end of the meeting. So it's important to try to understand the language and the culture of the country that you are going or you are doing your business with. The last point I will focus on: overcoming language barriers can be expensive, requiring investment in translators, interpreters, and technology. So you should always keep in mind that if you want to do business with a country where you find that they have a different language than what you have, to overcome them, you spend some money, but sometimes it is expensive. That's all. Now, the next one is legal and regulatory differences. Very important, the regulatory differences. 1 second. All right. Dear brothers and sisters, now I'm explaining legal and regulatory differences. So if you look at this, that every country has their own legal system, and business laws are different in different countries. So whenever you want to export a product overseas or you want to import from the country, you must understand the regulatory framework, the rules and regulation of the business. If you want to import, so try to understand what are the documents required for importing the products. If you are exporting, you must understand what are the documents involved in exporting the products. So if you are doing a business, international business, multinational business, or global business, you must comply with regulations, business regulations. So first of all, different legal systems in different countries can create challenges for businesses in understanding and complying with regulation. So if you are doing a business with another country, you must make sure. Sometimes if you are doing business with 5 different countries, make sure, okay, you must make sure that every time you are dealing with a country, you are following their legal framework. You will see in some offices, they have 5 different wall clocks. And in one clock, it is written that New York time. Then you find London time, Sydney time, Bangkok time, Mocha time. So this is important because whenever you are doing business, you are making sure that you are following the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures of that particular country. Even whenever you call them over phone, make sure that you are calling them during the working hour, not like when you need to call them 3 o'clock, make sure that it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not 3 o'clock midnight in that particular country. The next point is legal and regulatory differences can also influenced by cultural and societal norms that vary across different countries. So legal and regulatory differences can also be influenced by cultural and societal norms. So whenever we go to a country, we must make sure that we are aware of their cultural practices in addition to the legal system, because legal practices are also influenced by cultural and societal norms. Yesterday, I was watching a television news and found that some tourists, they have gone to Bali, but when they are driving their motorbikes, they are making excessive noise, or they are trying to drive over speed, which the citizens of that particular country, they do not like. So there was a serious retaliation from the citizens of Bali, and then it became a world news. So make sure you respect the culture and societal norms and practices, so that you respect the people and respect the society. And also these cultural and societal norms impact the legal and regulatory frameworks or differences. Now we must remember there's a term called vary across different countries. So culture and societal norms are different in different countries. Number 3 point here is regulations around international trade, including tariffs, trade barriers, and can vary widely between countries and impact businesses' ability to import and export goods. So we must make sure that international trade laws are different in different countries. So whenever we talk about tariffs means the tax when someone exports something to a country. So that country has some kind of tax, we call them tariff. And on the top of that, they have some trade barriers. Trade barriers means the country's rules, regulations, and practices that creates barrier for overseas exporters. We call them trade barriers. It can vary widely between countries and impact businesses' ability to import and export goods. So if you want to export something to a country, all right, so you must follow their tariff and their other barriers, and you need to overcome the barriers. And if you see that no, that country's tariff, whenever you are exporting, the tariff and trade barriers are challenging for your business, you can look for alternative opportunities. All right, the next or last point I will share with you today That is, difference in intellectual property laws across countries can impact a business's ability to protect and monetize its intellectual property in different jurisdictions. So mainly, we'll focus here on intellectual property law, IPR, intellectual property rights. So there are three major laws related to intellectual property rights. And you must know how the intellectual property law or intellectual property rights laws are working in a country where you want to expand your business. So the three major intellectual property rights laws are, the first one is copyright law. So copyright law means anything you have created. So you have a right on your product. It can be a book, you have written a book, you have composed a music, you have developed a software. So you have the right of that particular book, music, or software, which is we call copyright. The next one is patent. So patent is another intellectual property right. So the patent means whenever you invent a product, you must register the product against your name. Otherwise, you cannot claim the benefit out of your invention. So if someone else, he or she or some companies, they want to use your innovation, then they must give you some royalty. So you have a product, you have invented a product, and then you have registered that product in your name, so that next time someone else would like to get benefit of this product, they want to make that product, they must give you some kind of royalty. So we call that patent. All right. Sometimes it's a formula of a medicine. You register because you have invented. So the first one we talked about, copyright. The second one is patent. All right. The third one is trademark. So we know that trademarks means the logo of a company. So that is another intellectual property rights. You must understand whenever you are going to a company so that you do not violate their intellectual property laws or rights, so that you do not face major challenges while dealing with another country or your business. Then another challenge is political instability. Political instability, that's a big challenge for many countries in the world. So if you want to export to a particular country, or you have been involved in exporting for last many years, now they have political issues, political instabilities. So your business is at risk. So if you look at the first point, political instability in different countries can create uncertainty and risk of business. All right. So give me a second. Political instability. So if we are going to a country that has now war going on, for example, I used to export to Ukraine, and if there is a political issue in Ukraine, and then your business is in trouble. So political instability, number one point, political instability in different countries can create uncertainty and risk for global business. Your business can be at risk, your employees can be at risk. Second point is instability can manifest in various forms, such as changes in government policies, coups, civil unrest, and protests, all of which can impact business operations. So sometimes you are doing very well business in a country, as an exporter or as a global company. Now, new government has come and new government has developed new rules, regulation, policies, which is very difficult for you to accept or implement. So instability can manifest in various forms. So one is, we talked about new government policies. New government brings new policies, sometimes societal unrest, sometimes a wire situation that all impact the business. Number point 3 is political instability can lead to increased costs, such as higher insurance premiums or additional security measures to protect employees, facilities, and assets. I think you can understand this sentence because this is a very a simple language. Political instability can lead to increased cost. So whenever you are doing a business in a country and they have a political unrest going on, so whenever you hire securities for your company, maybe you are paying higher premium for that. Because you need to protect your employees, their families, your company assets. But if they did not have political instability, so you don't have spent this money you just spent for a country. Now, the last one is it can also lead to reputational damage, as businesses may be perceived as supporting regimes that are accused of human rights abuses and or other controversial actions. So this is very serious issue. Like a company operating in Myanmar, there is a claim that this company is doing mining business in Myanmar, and Myanmar government is tremendous benefited out of the mining business. Now, this company has very close relationship with Myanmar government, but the companies have some responsibility toward the society. Companies, if they decide to withdraw from the country, because this country has a dictator government. And then dictator government is not only bad for their country and society, they have also global impacts. So number 4 point says it can also, like political instability can also lead to reputational damage. So if you want to go to a country that has already very bad political situation, so you should think twice whether you should go there or not, because already there is a, there is a reputational image. It can also lead to reputational damage, as businesses may be perceived as supporting regimes. If you are doing very well business in a country where they have a dictator government, or there is a regime, puppet regime, loyal to the military or some other governments or authorities, so then you have a very bad image. You will have reputational damage because you are working very closely, and maybe as it appears that you are supporting a government that is like oppressive to a citizen, and they have bad image globally or controversial image globally. The next one is infrastructure. Infrastructure is very important. So if you want to do business in a country that do not have infrastructure, we talk about physical infrastructure like buildings, roads, highways, and also there are some like other infrastructure like utility infrastructure, electricity, water, gas. So infrastructure is an issue. If you want to do a business in a country that do not have sufficient infrastructure, you should think twice whether you should go there. And also we can see the first point is poor infrastructure can hinder economic development and limit the growth of a global business. All right. And now, if we look at this, second point is insufficient infrastructure can make it difficult to attract foreign investment and expand into new markets. So, as I said, and echoing to my claim, you can see here that insufficient infrastructure can make it difficult to attract foreign investments. So if any country, they do not have sufficient infrastructure, so that they cannot attract foreign investment in that country. And developing infrastructure requires significant investment and can take years to complete. So number 3 is developing infrastructure requires significant investment and can take years. So even many countries, they decide today that they need to develop infrastructure, it will take time. You cannot do it overnight. And the last point today about infrastructure is the lack of basic infrastructure can negatively impact the quality of life and perpetuate poverty in local communities. So not only bad infrastructure is bad for the country, bad for a country, bad for the business people, and it also negatively impact the quality of life and perpetuate poverty in local communities. Now we'll talk about another major issue: supply chain disruption. Supply chain disruptions. This is one of the challenges in global business. So what is supply chain? Supply chain indicates, or supply chain means whenever you sell a product, starting from the beginning, or like planting the trees. For example, we talk about coffee business. So maybe the coffee farmer, those who plant coffees, even those who sell the seed of coffee plants, if you can start from there, and then the farmers, they buy coffee beans, and then they plant coffees, the trees grown, they grow up, they then harvest the coffee beans, and then they export or sell. So starting from the point it's being sowing the seeds and up to the hands of the customer, all these steps we can call together as supply chain. So supply chain disruptions is a real problem for global businesses. So we can look at the major points. First one is supply chain disruptions such as natural disasters, pandemics, and geopolitical events can create significant challenges for global business. We talked about global business already. So natural disaster, pandemics, we already know that we had pandemics and we had a serious problem globally. We have seen that the tsunami in Indonesia created a lot of the problem, economic problem in the country. And also the supply chain is also impacted. For example, if in a country there is a natural disaster, so that there are some barriers, like the trees are falling on the street, the buildings are collapsing, and it's very difficult for the trucks to travel from one place to another place. Even during the pandemic time, we had a scarcity of the drivers because drivers were sick. So those are the challenges. One of the challenges in supply chain disruption is like because of natural calamities, natural disaster, pandemic, that's creating problem. And disruptions can lead to delay. Number 2, shortages and increased cost, impacting a company's ability to meet customers' demand and fulfill orders. So this kind of natural disasters and pandemics and geopolitical events can impact on the very goods and services at the right time to the customer. Point number 3 is businesses may need to find alternative suppliers or transport routes, which can require significant time and resources, all right, to establish. Business may need to find alternative suppliers. So if one supplier is unable to supply because they have driver shortage or they have other issues, then you need to find alternative suppliers. Last one is disruptions can also highlight the need for greater supply chain resilience, including redundancies and diversifications to mitigate risk and ensure business continuity. So whenever there is a disruptions in supply chain, you should immediately jump on it, resolve the issues, overcome the barriers, mitigate the risk to make sure that the business is continued, and you have a successful business and you are doing your business well. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, these are the 6 major issues I focused on. These are the major challenges for global business. And there are some other challenges, but for today's presentation, I have chosen these 6 major challenges: cultural differences, language barriers, legal and regulatory differences, political instability, infrastructure, and supply chain disruptions. So, dear brothers and sisters, my presentation is on behalf of Department of Business, International Open University. And at this point, I will say for a few minutes about my department, because my department is, we call it Department of Business Administration, and we have a program, we call it Bachelor of Business Administration, or BBA program. So in our BBA program, we try to develop our students in a way so that they are able to face the challenges for global business. We have qualified teachers, we have our resources, we have, because we are an open university, we have all the resources starting from the textbook, PowerPoint slides, recorded videos available for our students. And on the top of that, whenever students do not understand something, they can directly communicate with the lecturer, or they can ask the question in the forum, so that the question is going to everyone. And when the lecturer is answering that particular question, everyone is getting the answer. So this is a great way for us, the way we communicate with our students, so that we try to focus on each and every student. We try to make themselves happy and satisfied. So our students are kind of our customers. So we try our best to make them happy, to make them understand their subjects, make them knowledgeable on the topics, so that whenever they graduate from our department as a global citizen, kind of global citizen. They have the knowledge and attitude about their life. They have the knowledge of ethical business, and they know that they have a commitment towards their families, towards their business or company, and they have commitment to their society. So we are producing our graduates, as I said, with the knowledge of contemporary business, and also we are making them ethical and responsible member of the society. So anyone who is interested in our Bachelor's of Business program, they can contact our admission office. That's all from my side today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, I am now ready to take questions from you. It's about like 45 minutes I spoke to you, and now you may have questions. Please feel free to ask questions, and I'll try my best to give you the answers. So I have a question. How does business administration differ at IOU? So if I understand your question, so probably you want to mean that how we are different from other universities. So at IOU, first of all, we are an open university. We do not teach face-to-face, except in one department, they have hybrid programs. So we try to equip all our students with all the resources needed for the students who are in a distant location. Now, in addition to provide quality teaching, we try to develop them ethically and morally, good human beings and good business people. So that's where we are, I think we are different than others. And also we focus on excellence in services delivered to our students. Thank you. Very good questions. What courses does IOU offer in business administration? So we offer almost all the courses that usually conventionally other universities they offer. And in addition to that, we have some university requirement courses. So let me share with you the list of courses that we have in BBA program. Right, I'm sharing that with you in a minute. Give me a second. So, Tawheed Nasir, you can see our list of courses. For example, in the first year, we are offering Introduction to Business, Principles of Marketing, Principles of Management, Principles of Economics, Islamic Studies, one English Language Studies. Similarly, we have all courses that is needed for the business administration, and also we have university requirement courses. You can visit our website and you can get the list of courses that we have for BBA program. And now we have another question is, I am a dual program student. I tried to apply for business studies as additional program, but it's again, the IOU policy, it's very sad. So at IOU, Ainaba, we are offering some courses. We are expanding. So sometimes we may not need, we may not meet all the needs from the student side. For example, we have demand for MBA program. We have been contacted several times by many prospective students to enroll in MBA program, but we have not opened it because we are also engaged with some other programs. Like we have a research, we are working on offering a research master's program, like masters in business research, and then we are also working on developing a PhD program in business. So hopefully then we'll offer MBA program. So we are also working on that. So similarly, we have many policies, but we cannot implement all the policies together and to serve our prospective customers. But inshallah, we are working hard to reach you, inshallah. Okay, then Sam is saying what challenges we can face in the study of business from IOU. Very good question. Because students can come to study at IOU, some students, those who do not have proficiency in English, they may have some challenges while studying at IOU. And another challenge is students, because they are in a open learning program, Open University program. So they are not coming to the class or attending the class on a daily basis. So that they can engage themselves in other like jobs or businesses. So that is another challenge that many students, they are too focused in their jobs and businesses, so they cannot make time for their classes. So that's another challenge. And so we have live classes. Okay, but we have live classes for all the subjects that we are offering nowadays. Every month we have a monthly live class where a student can ask questions and get their answers. So if they have any difficulties, they can come to our live classes. Inshallah. I'm very happy that you have all the right questions, and I wish you all the best. And I'm pretty sure that you got some knowledge of the challenges of global business that I presented today. And I'm very happy that I could answer the questions that came from you regarding our Bachelor's of Business program, and wish you all the best. And may Allah give you the right direction to get success in your life in this world and hereafter. I have a question, please. What is the required qualification to study in the Islamic banking and finance at IUU, and how to make the payments? All right, all this information you can get from our website. And if you cannot find the right answer for your question, then we have our chat sessions. Those who are working to support you in the admission office, they will be able to support you whenever you need to find out any question, any answer for your question. Thank you. So that's all for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Dr. Shafiqur Rahman, head of Department Business.